Hi, this is Carrie Brown with Real Estate 101. You're watching Real Estate Zoom across America, and my special guest today is Lee Tessier. He is in Bel Air, Maryland. He's also an eXp Realty agent. How are you today, Lee?
I'm doing great. So yourself?
I'm doing good. What's the temperature there?
It was 14 degrees this morning, so it was a little chilly. So the
Pretty
good and the bad
comparable.
of Maryland. Yeah, we get all four seasons, and the cold ones are cold and the hot ones are hot. So
Sounds very similar to Kansas.
we have the humidity from the coast. That's only our only other negative because the cold is so damp, and then the summers are hot and muggy. So interesting.
Sounds about right. Our highs are 110 and our lows are negative. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
You get
I
through
know
that.
4 seasons also.
Yeah.
All right, we'll jump right into the properties here. On the left over here in Topeka, Kansas, this particular property was on the market for less than 100,000. It sold right at 100,000 on the money. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-car garage, 1,052 square feet. Smaller lot, 179 by 50. Taxes are $1,377 a year, and it was built in 1935. Tell me about
Okay.
yours.
So ours was built in 1990. It's a condo, so it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Square footage pretty close to the same. It's 1,100 square feet on this one. Taxes were really cheap. So this was listed at 85, sold at 85 a couple years ago, worth well less than that, maybe 65. Sold in 5 days. The condo fees are very high though. Condos in our market, you'll see somewhere around the $250 mark. So this was $248 per month. But the taxes were only $588 a year. So taxes were cheap, but the condo fees were high.
So the condo fees, did they cover anything like cable or trash or anything like that?
Covers trash, covers snow removal, stuff of that sort, lawns, but that's no major maintenance or anything like that. So, and thankfully has not had any assessments over the last 10 years. So hopefully they'll continue at that. That's the only thing with condos you have to watch for is any assessments that come up, major maintenance.
That it's actually really similar to ours. Ours have just pushed over the $100,000 mark per condo
Okay.
for the most part.
This is cheap. So this is in Edgewood, Maryland. So it's Harford County, but it's in Bel Air, a cheaper condo. You're tough finding anything under 200,000 these days. So
Yeah, it's amazing what the market does whenever you have a lack of inventory.
yeah, 32%. And I'm assuming you said you're what, 2 weeks of inventory left in your market as well.
It is crazy. All right, so this particular one on the left, that one sold for 390. Nope, sold for 356. I'm just bound and determined to mess this particular one up. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage, 3,980 square feet, 7.78 acres. Taxes a year were 4,412, and it was built in 2001. How does that compare to yours?
So ours is smaller. It's a townhouse, of course, versus a single family house. So when you said 3,900 square feet, does that include the basement or not include the basement?
That includes the basement. So that is the entire finished square footage.
Okay, so one of the differences here, anything above grade, so they have above grade square footage and then basement is separate. So the one I'm showing here is 1,600 square feet above grade and then another 800 in the basement. So 2,400 square foot total, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It was listed, I think we originally started at just under, it was like 250, it ended up selling for 270, small concession, sold in 2 days. Appraisals become issues these days too. So, depending on where they appraise at, some of them are selling a little bit higher, but depending on where, what you negotiate in the beginning too. So I'm assuming you're seeing that in your market of buyers willing to pay appraisal gaps, stuff of that sort, or hey, sometimes they're paying, no matter what it appraises at, or sometimes they don't have the money. So then you're, if it's something's, at the top of the market and you're sitting a little while and you're negotiating, then you end up, renegotiating on some that sellers are shooting a little bit too high.
Yeah, around here, I call that a plot twist. Just about the time you thought you knew what was going on, it changed.
Sure, exactly. Nothing's ever done until the fat lady sings and you're at settlement, right?
Absolutely. I don't stop stressing until we know that it's fixing to actually exchange money. So.
Right.
All right, this particular one sold for 390, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage, 5,075 square feet. It really should have sold for more. It had a little bit of quirkiness about it. Comp wise, it comped out at 450. It's just,
Okay.
in that price range here, people become really, really picky.
Mhm.
But 5,075 square feet, you could literally throw a party in the master closet.
Wow.
It was huge.
Yeah, the 5,000 square foot. Wow.
Yeah. And the master bedroom had its own gym, had a pub downstairs, an actual
Nice.
bar room. Super cute. $6,485 a year in taxes. And it was built
Okay.
in 1968. How
Okay.
does that compare to yours?
So mine on the right, this was not waterfront, but if you see it has water view, it was like peekaboo views. So the ones that are sitting on the water bring a lot more. This one sold for 500,000. The waterfronts are selling for like 650. That was built in 2008, 3,300 square feet. Taxes are just under $5,000. It was $4,800 a year. It did have a homeowners association for $125 a month. That did include, they had a boat ramp, they had kayaks and stuff of that sort, and everybody had a boat slip. So it did not come with a boat lift, but it did have a boat slip. So that was all included at the 125.
That's
So nice
nice.
home. That's in Aberdeen, Maryland. So we have Aberdeen Proving Grounds, which is one of our big drivers for jobs. So military, but more of the engineering side. So it's a proving ground. So there's a lot of testing and stuff of that sort. So we used to have a lot of, you could feel the shaking from the bombs that they were testing and so forth. We don't feel that. It hasn't been as bad the last 10 years, but they still do a lot of testing stuff. And that's probably 5 minutes, 5 minutes by air to there,
Oh,
but probably a drive like 20 minutes.
wow.
Yeah, interesting of what, we all have in our different markets. So we're not a true military market, but we do have Fort Meade is about 45 minutes from us, from my office, and about 15 minutes away is Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Wow.
Again, engineering jobs. So a lot of high paid engineers, civilian work. Some of them were military, but a lot of civilian more so than military.
We do have military bases around us, and we do have an airfield here in Topeka.
Okay.
Thankfully, they're not testing bombs, so that's good.
Yeah, when right after we built our house here in 2003, you would hear the window shake some, and like, wow, you kind of got used to it after a while, but it's not like a train in your backyard, but it's definitely a little noisy.
I imagine.
Mhm.
Shake you the first time you heard it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the left, this one sold for $1,995,000, which is very much high end here in Topeka. 5 bedroom, 6 bath, 6 full bath, 2.5 bath, 3-car garage, 10,891 square feet finished.
Wow.
1.54 acres, and the taxes a year were $26,107. Built in 2008. So how does that compare to yours?
Well, first of all, our taxes are about half of yours, which is pretty amazing because Maryland is a pretty high tax state in general, but I was surprised how much of a difference in real estate tax. This was listed for, this sold for 1.3 million. Above grade square footage is about 6,900, plus the basement is another just over 3,000. So let's call it 10,000 square feet total. Did have an in-ground pool. It was sitting on 2 acres. Taxes were $11,615, so much less. It was built in 2006. They did have solar panels. You can see on the roof. That was kind of a differentiator here for Tesla. It's probably one of in Maryland, it was like the biggest square footage for solar panels. So it was a little bit interesting on it. Very nice yard, pretty updated. The sellers had updated the house. It was built in 06, but they had just recently redone the kitchen and the master bath. So those are 2 big perks. This was in Ballston, Maryland, very good schools. A lot of people that are relocating in will ask for Ballston schools or Bel Air schools. So very nice house for the money. Again, like I said, just under 10,000 square feet.
Wow. So those are actually really comparable homes, and the difference is the taxes.
Yeah, taxes. I mean, you're at 11,000, and I mean, I'm at 11,000. You're at 20, what, 3?
26,000.
26,000. And New York would be even worse. I have a friend that's in like Rochester area, and she sold her $1.3 million house. Her taxes were 43,000. I was like, holy crap. I was like, that's, she was able to downsize and move to the Carolinas. And I was like, you could buy 4 houses for what her expenses were, her total expenses on the house.
No doubt. It's amazing what I'm learning from state to state.
Yeah. So,
All
and
right.
then I'm licensed also in Florida, and what you get for the money down there, like the average place on Marco Island is about 1.2 million. And those are smaller, like 2,000 square foot ranchers, but they're on canals and you have great waterway. What the weather is wonderful. So it's just kind of interesting of how little you get for the money there. So, and the
Yeah.
taxes are fair, taxes are 10,000 on something like that.
Yeah. Florida actually airs in 3 weeks. So
Okay. All right, good.
break it down.
So
All right.
this
Tell
is,
me about this.
yeah, so this is Maryland Golf and Country Club. It's 5 minutes from my house. We're a member there. Beautiful country club, very hilly for golf. So golf advocates, really tough course. But I've gotten deep into golf this past year. So great place to go out and play, very social, great clientele there, and just some fun things to do. And really nice pool, food's fantastic, golf course is amazing. They also have tennis, and pickleball. So that's one of the fun things here. And actually, they're doing a bunch of renovations there. So finally getting some updates and new bar and extension of the outdoor living space, since we do have our 4 seasons. Usually in May starts getting nice. July is a little hot in August, but it's, if you're under covered area, it's not bad. This is in Havre de Grace. So Havre de Grace is very water oriented, as you can see in the background. This is downtown, the historic lighthouse. So just it's an older community in general. Then you have Bully Rock, which is a golf course community that they built in about 2005, and they're still building there. Currently, there's about 600 lots for sale, and that will be selling over the next few years. Home prices in that community, condos in the mid 200s to some of the higher end homes that sell close to $1 million, especially the ones that are on the golf course. Bully Rock was a world-renowned course. They used to have the women's LPGA, one of the tournaments there every year. So,
Wow.
this is one of our, we have a lot of farmland. So I'm assuming you probably have a good amount of farmland in Topeka.
Yeah.
So Hartford County is pretty rural overall. We have our, townhouse lots that are 0.05, and then we have our communities that are quarter acre lot, and then we have the ones that are 10 to 50 acres or more. We get a few that are 100 acres, especially farms. So the overall rural feeling, and not downtown. We're 35 minutes from downtown Baltimore. So downtown Baltimore, you have assortment of stuff. I mean, great restaurants, the aquariums there. Just downtown Baltimore City is really known for the Inner Harbor. So, but don't travel too far out. You can get dangerous pretty quickly. So, and it's amazing in the city. You can have, dollar homes in one block, and then you go a couple of blocks over and you're $1 million plus. And then the taxes in the city are more similar to what you're seeing. So $1 million home in Baltimore City, you'd probably have $20,000 plus taxes on that.
Makes sense. So your farms, whenever they sell, what did say 100 acres ballpark with a house?
With a house, just over $1 million, depending. Some of them will bring a little bit more, depending on if it's subdividable or if it's in any type of easement, or if it's in a ag preserve where they can't build on it. So ag preserve, they've already sold the rights off to the town, to the county. So those will sell for a lot less because there's not subdividable. There was a 100-acre farm that sold less than a mile from my office, and the Toll Brothers bought it and subdivided. I think they paid $10 million or so for that. So,
wow. All right, next up, where is this?
This is downtown Bel Air. So where that water fountain is on the left-hand side, that's right by the courthouse. And then you have restaurants like the tower that's showing there, and they have outdoor upstairs area. Big restaurant, very little parking though. Thankfully, there's a parking garage behind it, but this is like the strip of Main Street. And small shops, anywhere from attorneys to small clothing stores, banks, stuff of that sort. So just that downtown quaint feel. Early 1900s, probably, most of that was built maybe late 1800s. So just that small hometown feel.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
All right. Where is this?
This is around Havre de Grace. This is part of Rock State Park. So a lot of people will be hiking and just going exploring. There's another one that looks very similar. This is Winter's Run. So we have a lot of streams and lakes that'll run into the Chesapeake Bay. So Chesapeake Bay is what we're known for the most. You know, a lot of, especially Ocean City is about 2.5 hours from us here. They have the White Marlin tournament every year. A lot of people will go down, people that have second homes there. A lot of them live here as well. So it's 2 hours and 30 minutes with no traffic. Summertime, you know, you could be 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on how much traffic you're hitting. But the White Marlin tournament's really, really well known. The first one that I think last year was about $9 million. So just pretty interesting of how big it's gotten. Michael Jordan comes up from Florida, and a bunch of other ones will fish out of that. So, but again, all feeding from the Chesapeake Bay.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
All right, now we roll into Topeka. This is actually my state capital. And what I'm finding is a lot of people have almost the exact same building. It's just either a church or it's their capital.
It's very, very similar to ours. So I was looking, I was like, is that one we sent you?
Yeah. Everybody, once we get here, they're like, oh, and they're like, wait, that's not mine.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so this is our state capital. They have tours. You just have to, with COVID, call in advance. Gorgeous. Inside's equally as gorgeous, and definitely a must see if you come here. We do have Brown versus Board, which is a Board of Education, which is a National Historic Site here, museum. And then Evel Knievel, which is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, all of his memorabilia is here. So definitely a must see, and it's by the Harley Davidson shop. So, you know, if you like Harleys, this is where you need to go.
Nice.
This, I find a lot of people have churches that are very similar, or it's their Capitol building. This is actually a high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is Topeka High. It's gorgeous in the daytime and at night. They don't use all of the space, so it's more central into the middle, but they will do tours. You just have to call in advance. And we have what's called Lake Shawnee, which is a man-made lake. Has an 8-mile paved walking trail all the way around. We have tulip time during the tulip season. There are several different parks that do that here. It is always well landscaped. There's waterfalls, there's buildings, there's places to entertain with your family. You name it, it's actually right here. There's even a ballpark. So
nice.
And then we have the Topeka Zoo. That also has a lot of structures around it. There's even a train that you can ride with your children. It's not like a little bitty type train. It's a decent sized train. Lots of things going on here all the time.
Yeah, sounds like us. We have very nice sized Baltimore Zoo.
We actually still have a passenger train system here still, and it's called the Great Overland Station. It displays all the flags from around the country. Inside is equally as beautiful as the outside. I really need to go take a good picture or find a better picture because it's way better than this. It's just all I could find.
Okay. So yeah, for our train, so we have the MARC train that runs. We have a lot that come from that travel to DC. So DC driving wise, no traffic, hour 15, maybe an hour, just over an hour. Typically, you're going to hit traffic as soon as you get there. So you're 1.5 hours to hour 45, depending on where you're going in Washington, D.C. Or they'll take the MARC train, which is probably about an hour ride for them. So a lot of people will commute back and forth to D.C. from here because you get a lot more for your money here versus in D.C. or close to D.C.
Gotcha. I don't think anybody's really using it. It's more of a trip type thing.
Okay.
For us. Driving here is just as easy as it would be.
Okay.
Train would actually be longer for us.
Okay. A lot of just because the traffic's so bad and people can get work done and so forth. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one is you guys. This is your team.
Yeah. Yep. It's always growing.
And you tell me again. You cover Florida. Where else do you cover?
So I'm licensed in Maryland and Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania, we're at the line where we cover up to it, and then I have another agent in PA, and then we also cover in Florida, Marco Island and Naples. So that area is really booming right now too, and the high dollar stuff's amazing how fast that's selling. I think in the last 4 months in Florida, between like 1 million to 5 million at 800 properties sell in that price point.
Wow.
So just in Naples.
And
So
if you're looking for a great team to work with in those areas, here is all the contact information. Here in just a second, we'll go full screen so you can see us both. This is my information, my team's information. We'd be happy to help you. We cover Northeast Kansas. And that is the end of this. So if you would join us as subscribe on YouTube, and each series goes out on YouTube. So here we both are. So we've talked about things to do market wise. Investor market, do you have a fairly decent investor market still?
we do. We have let's see, I have about 15 of my own rental properties. So Baltimore County, there's a lot of like blue collar area where I grew up. You could buy townhouses. You used to be able to buy it between like 70 to 90,000. Now they're closer to 130 to 170. We used to rent for 1,400. Now they're between 15 to 1,800 a month in rent. Taxes are $2,000, 2,200 a year. No HOAs because they were built in the mid 50s, or generally right around 1,000 square feet plus the basement. So 1,500 square feet total, 3-bedroom, most cases 1.5 baths. Some of them have 2 baths. So investor market for that's really good. We also do a fair amount of flips, which are really much harder to find these days. So like we bought a property in Falston, had a lot of issues with it. It was an estate sale. It was a split level, 1.6 acres, 1-car garage attached, split foyer, and it had a 1-car detached. It was kind of like on a hillside, so part of the garage was built into the ground. But we paid $100,000 for that. Had not had water on for a year. There was a brother was living in the house. The mom had passed. So just like long story to it. But we ended up putting about $180,000 in renovation into it, and it sold for $425,000.
Wow.
So it was a good spread on that one. It's harder to find anything that you're making $20,000 to $30,000 investment wise. But rents are really good here. Like the ones I was saying in Dundalk, you can get close to a 1% return on them. Of you're buying, say 170, you're going to get $1,700 a month for rent. If you're buying 150, you're usually getting $1,500 to $1,600 a month rent. But there's very few places you can do it. Like Harford County, if I'm buying a townhouse here, used to be able to buy them between 150 and 200. Now they're closer to 200 to 250. The 200 to 250, you're, say you get it for 210, you're going to get probably $1,800 to $1,900 a month rent. So close, but not that same differential. How about you?
We still have some. It seems like with COVID and the lack of inventory, it pushes up higher than what it should be. Our average rents are probably around 800 to 1,000 a month.
Okay.
So really tight margins, just finding stuff. As one of the investor friends of mine said on an interview, he said, I go and I look for the ugly things nobody else wants and I fix those up.
Yeah,
So.
I bought a house before where in a 12-foot span, it dropped 5.5 inches to the point where the brick was cracking, like right down the middle of the bricks in the front of the house. We had to jack the foundation up. We had to jack the house up, dig a new foundation on that side because it shifted. I mean, the concrete floor separated in some areas a couple inches. It split that far apart.
Wow.
Everybody was afraid to buy it. Like I had an appraiser friend call and he's like, hey, you may be interested in this. I called my contractor. He had gotten with his masons and so forth. They went and looked at it. He's like, oh yeah, we can fix this. And we rehabbed it about 3 years ago and all's good. So, but it was another extensive, probably $150,000 plus remodel. So
they're out there. Okay, so we're both in a title state, correct?
Correct.
All right, protocol to visit. Is everyone still wearing masks? Do you see that very often?
Baltimore County, it's mask mandate anything inside. Harford County is not. So we're seeing a lot more people happy to be in Harford County. So on showings, depending on the client more so than anything, or the seller. So it could be sellers are asking for a mask to be worn in the house, or the buyers, depending the buyers may want it. It depends on the client, but it's not mandated yet. But Baltimore County is, Harford County is not.
Topeka's the same way. Lawrence is, Topeka's not. And it just really kind of depends wherever you go, whether or not they're wearing it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting where John Wade is out in Steamboat, they haven't ever worn masks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I like I said, I learned a lot. MLS boards, we have several. but how many do you guys have?
One for Maryland and Pennsylvania.
I am
Florida,
so
we have
lucky.
two in two areas, so adjoining areas. But it's nice here that it's nice to have one. We've always had one, thank God. But it is so much easier just to use one than having to search. Oh, I got to search this one and search that one. I can only imagine what you guys go through. And
Just
expenses.
expenses, yeah. So just in the territory that I service, I'm on the Kansas City, Lawrence, Topeka, and Manhattan boards, MLSs. So I pay dues for all four. And that's really, I do it because it's best for my seller. Because like,
Yeah.
some boards only have 200 agents. And
Wow.
that's not going to be enough whenever the top 10%
Right.
is all that sells. So you really have to have that option there. And when it comes to your land, does your land actually pass along with the sale of your house, or is it held some other way?
It does. Yeah. So the only other thing that you'll see is ground rent, which they can't form any more ground rents. They stopped that 10 years ago or so. But a ground rent would be that somebody else owns the ground. But say if it's a townhouse in Dundalk that was a $100,000 townhouse and it has a $90 a year ground rent, you can buy it out. It's only like $1,600 total to buy it out. Or a lot of cases, it's just left there because it doesn't change anything about what you can do with the land and everything else. But we do see ground rents, but not that often. In most cases, it's fee simple and they own the property.
Gotcha. Ours are fee simple too, and they own the property. Mineral rights is a little different, but
Okay. Yeah, we don't see much mineral rights here.
So a question that I had come up because I was comparing offline with another agent and found that their contract was 1 page. Ours is 6. How many pages is your contract?
Our core contract is 11 pages technically. And then by the time we're done with addendums, our contract's low side is about 38 pages and the high side, 50 pages.
Wow.
With all the addendum.
Yeah. I mean, we have a bunch of additional documents that go with it, but the actual core meat of the contract is 6 pages. So
yeah,
it's
almost
interesting. Yeah. Interesting each state. I really want to thank you for coming on and teaching us about your market. I hope you have a good time in Florida. It sounds like that's where you're headed.
Yeah, it's warm weather, thank goodness.
Yeah.
14-degree days are not my favorite, especially
No.
now to go at 5:30
Yeah.
in the morning. So.
It's like 4 here. So.
Oh, wow. So you're not left out anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for watching Real Estate Zoom Across America.